Welcome to Lesson 6.1, Environmental Impacts on Health. Did you know that 23% of all global deaths are linked to the environment? Where is this happening? Well, it's happening in the regions of the Americas, but at a very low rate. The higher rates are in Southeast Asia, the Western Pacific region, and then in the African region. How does the environment impact our health? Well, people are exposed to risk factors in their homes, workplaces, and communities through, let's look at these in more detail. Air pollution, inadequate water sanitation and hygiene, chemicals, radiation, community noise, occupational risks, agricultural practices, what's happening in our built environments, including housing and roads, and climate change. And so I'm sure you thought that climate change was the biggest impact for environmental health, but actually it's not. The top 10 causes of death from the environment. 8.2 million out of 12.6 million deaths are caused by the environment, are due to non-communicable diseases. So non-communicable diseases are our chronic diseases. So stroke and ischemic heart disease are the top two reasons that people will die related to the environment. And this is related to air pollution. Cardiovascular disease makes up 31% of those deaths related to air pollution, secondhand tobacco smoke, and other chemicals. And unintentional injuries is the third leading cause related to home, community, and work safety. The other causes are cancers, chronic respiratory diseases, and respiratory infections, again from air pollution and our air quality, diarrheal diseases from poor water and sanitation, malaria, and intentional injuries. Intentional injuries are mental health issues related to suicide. Probably because living in a drought community, not having enough food, being involved in some type of environmental disaster, so a fire, flooding, hurricanes. So why is this all happening? Well, the human population is the healthiest that it's ever been. Our life expectancy has increased, poverty rates have dropped, child mortality rates have dropped. But to achieve this, we've exploited our planet. Carbon dioxide emissions have gone up because of industrialization. We've acidified our ocean. Energy use has increased. We've lost tropical forests. Our water use has increased. And we've increased our use of fertilizers in order to grow grain products, in order to feed our population. And our current trajectory is going to put even more pressure on the planet. Our population is growing, and that means we're going to need more grain production and more water demand. Damaging the planet damages human health. Climate change, if unchecked, climate change could relate to 250,000 deaths per year. Biodiversity loss related to overfishing. Undernutrition related to climate change and other environmental changes, and that you can't grow crops. Water use by 2050, over 40% of the world's population could be living in areas with severe water stress because we're consuming water, and our planet is growing and our water loss is becoming more apparent. Soil degradation leads to 1 to 2 million hectares of agricultural land per year that's degraded because we're ruining our soil. And so these environmental threats could also exacerbate each other. So to safeguard human health, we need to maintain the health of the planet on which we depend on. So how do we do that? Well, we learn about planetary health, which you're doing right now. Reduce our food waste. Did you know that 30 to 50% of all food that is produced is never consumed? Eat a diet low in red meat and eat a diet with plenty of fruit and vegetables can reduce your risk of heart disease, but it also reduces greenhouse gas emissions and land use requirements up to 50%. That's huge. And then better governance, so looking upstream. Did you know that red meat is the greatest contributor of greenhouse gas emissions from food consumption? And that beef production is known to emit far more greenhouse gas emissions than the growing of vegetables and other plant foods? Other things you can do. Think about low carbon strategies in energy generation, and we'll discuss these when we discuss what we can do in the hospital. Use more active and public transportation and less vehicle use. Introduce clean fuels. Reduce occupational exposures to make our workplaces very safe for everyone around the world. Increase access to safe water and adequate sanitation and promote hand washing. A lot of this is our low middle income countries, but we also see access to safe water in our indigenous communities. Change consumption patterns. Implement interventions that can increase sun protection behavior. What can we do to make it, and so it's easy to be protected from the sun? Pass smoking bans to reduce exposure to secondhand smoke. And always use a health in all policies. And so we talked about the health in all policy in a previous lecture. So I want you to think about these 9 strategies and think about, are the majority of them upstream? I would say most of them are upstream strategies. And so what can you do as a nurse? What are those 9 strategies that you can implement in your own home life? But what can you do as a nurse in the workplace? And we'll discuss some of those strategies in the next lesson.